my name is Liz Chevasu and I'm doing a review today on the OneTwoFit exercise bike. I've been using exercise bikes and bikes with trainers for over 10 years, so I kind of know what I like. This guy's kind of your middle of the road exercise bike. I also used this one for a while, the one behind me, which is about half the price, but you know, it made it work. And then I've also used one that was at least twice the price of this one. So features, it's pretty customizable. You can go up and down with the front handlebars. This is as high as it goes. So I am 5'4", so you can kind of picture this is about as high as it goes. The seat, of course, comes up and down, and then you can adjust the seat forward and back. If you want to adjust it up and down like this, you actually have to use a wrench to do so. You can kind of see over there. So I like to do it with my seat a little bit tipped back, so I had to change that. You've got the shoe parts, which kind of hold you in. You can adjust those as well. But of course, the nicest thing about having these indoor bikes is that you can tighten it and release it. When I've used trainers in the past, they can be very loud and you have to switch gears every time you want to go up and down. With a cheaper bike like this one, you can't stand up. There isn't enough resistance, but on something like this, you can really crank it up and stand up and get a really good workout. So some things that I don't necessarily like, it's got a heart rate monitor on here. Let's see if I can get it over. Pulse. So right now it thinks my pulse, has a trouble finding it, is about 75 or 78. But if you look on my Fitbit, it's always like at least 10, sometimes even 20 beats off, depending on if I'm working really hard and like hitting 130, it's not even close. So you can't really base this off of your heart rate. The other thing is that I wish it was slightly more customizable. I like to have the handlebars up really high because I get sore in my back. But I do like the quietness, so I'd say for the price, definitely 5 out of 5 stars.
Minions, we're coming to you today with a bike, but not one of those bikes. We're coming to you with a OneTwoFit bike. Yes, that's right, it says OneTwoFit. This is how it comes, all packaged up like this. And we are going to show you down and dirty how this thing actually comes together. First impressions, it's really heavy. So if you have a regular car and no pickup truck, you're gonna have difficulty picking this up from your P.O. box, unless it's delivered straight to your house. Then in that regard, man, more respect to the UPS guy. Give him a beer or something. You know, this hot weather delivering packages like this. Okay, on to the review. Here's what you need to know in terms of putting this guy together. This is probably the highest quality bike I have ever put together, at least compared to this monstrosity over there. We don't even want to pay attention to that guy, not even a comparison. The quality of this is very, very good. Now, I'm not being paid for this review at all or anything like that, so when you hear people raving like, oh, it's so great, you think, they're just being paid off. No. This was so darn easy to put together. As a matter of fact, when they ship this to you, these are already in place, so you know where these bolts go. So all you have to do is take this section, put it on to this section. Of course, you're gonna take these out first, and then you just put them back where you found them. So that's the case with these. That's the case up here with these guys. And so it's pretty much, the directions are extremely simple. Those guys are in place already as well. And then of course the pedals. Look, the pedals are even marked with L, corresponding with you put this on the left side. And if you're confused, if you've never put together a bike before, it's not righty-tighty for pedals, it's lefty-loosey, which as indicated on the sticker. Look, lefty-tighty. Isn't that brilliant? And so it's very, very easy to put together. And you basically go from bottom to top. So you start with these guys down there, and then you go to the pedals, and then you go to the seat, and then lastly you have these little bull horns up here. Now if you are confused about why your sensor is not working, well, that's probably because either these connections aren't in place back here, so there's one connection there, and then these connections don't really matter which one goes in which, as long as they're in there and the circuit is complete, one hand there and one hand there, and then it will actually sense your BPMs, your beats per minute, which are not accurate. If you have a Fitbit watch, it's gonna probably clock in 20 BPMs less, and if you have the Apple Watch, it's gonna clock in 20 BPMs more. So don't use this to actually diagnose anything, just use it kind of as an indicator as to how hard you're working out. But anyway, back to the sensor. Do note that there's one other thing. So see this springy cord? This goes all the way down underneath, and it actually goes to this point right here. And if it arrived in the box like it did for me, out just dangling like that, it's not actually gonna sense anything. So, and you're gonna think that the sensor is broken. This has to slide into this little hole. The only other painful thing that you're probably gonna discover while you're trying to install this is that the wrenches don't quite fit exactly in there. So if you have like a ratchet set of some kind, that will make things a lot easier. So for example, this little nut under here, if you want to adjust this seat back and forth like this, because my wife prefers it actually tilted a bit forward as opposed to back, you're gonna have to untighten these guys with a ratchet, or you could try to use the included wrench and it might slip and you might scrape your knuckles because it doesn't quite fit all the way on there. It will work, but just be really careful of your knuckles as you're doing it. Overall installation was painfully simple and painfully easy, and I would absolutely give this a 5 out of 5 stars.